Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Haines. I'm a new faculty in the Civil and Mineral Engineering Department, and I'm doing an AMA for SBN. What did Professor Haines study in undergrad and why? Okay, so I studied environmental engineering at The Ohio State University, and I really wanted to study environmental engineering because of climate change. So during high school, this was something that was really on my mind, and that's what I wanted to focus on. And I really felt like studying engineering, and specifically environmental engineering, I would be able to make a real impact and sustainable impact on just in energy systems and with sustainable design. So I kind of veered away from that through my undergraduate career, but that was really what initially got me interested in engineering, and specifically environmental engineering. Where did Professor Haines complete her undergrad and grad education? Okay, so I completed both of my undergraduate and graduate education at Ohio State University, which is in Columbus, Ohio. So I am new to Toronto and I'm new to Canada. So I did my undergraduate, like I said, in environmental engineering, and then my master's and PhD were both in environmental science. What was the focus of Professor Haines' PhD? So my PhD is in environmental science, and its focus was on indoor microbiomes, specifically looking at microbial growth in carpet dust. So I do a lot of indoor air work and indoor environmental exposures. So I was looking at how moisture impacts microbial growth, specifically fungus and bacteria, in carpets and in dust. And so when you elevate moisture and you have elevated relative humidity, you actually get more growth in your carpet. And when you walk around, you kick up the dust in the air, and you can breathe it in, and that's how you can be exposed to it. So we were looking at all these different indoor systems, specifically carpet. What did Professor Haines find exciting and challenging about her PhD? So I really felt like the work I was doing for my PhD was really different and novel. So we were using a PTR-TOF-MS, which is a proton transfer time of flight mass spectrum. We were actually able to measure microbial volatile organic compounds, which are those moldy and musty odors that you smell when mold and fungus is growing. We were able to measure those coming off of carpet and drywall in real time. And so that was actually really exciting, and no one had really been looking into this before and seeing what actual emissions were coming off of just carpet and drywall in general, so the VOCs, but then also what are the microbes doing and what were they emitting. So that was actually really exciting and new, and it was challenging to use and do this different analysis. How does microbiology relate to building science? So I think microbiology is really important to building science, and it's not something that we often think of because microbes are everywhere. They're on our bodies, they're on surfaces, they're all over our indoor environment. And so what I like to do is really think about how are they impacting humans, and then also degradation of materials. And that's really how they're involved in building science. So when we think about mold growing on a material, or even with the entire COVID-19 pandemic, how different viruses or microorganisms are moving throughout our indoor spaces through ventilation, HVAC, and so on. And so we're really exposed to these all the time. Some are healthy. There's lots of microorganisms that they're not harmful, but we want to make sure that the harmful ones we're accounting for and limiting exposure. What excites Professor Haines about her role as a faculty advisor? So I'm really excited to be a faculty advisor for SBN, particularly to work with students. So I think this is one of the most important aspects of being a professor and just working at the university. And I'm just so excited to work with all of the wonderful people at SBN. What are some of Professor Haines' professional goals? So I just started as a professor coming straight out of my PhD, so I'm really excited to just be moving forward and continuing my research and teaching as well. And so for professional goals, I really want to expand away in the future, like looking far beyond, maybe start getting involved with communities and how different communities are impacted by mold growth and substandard housing, and then as well as some policy. So those are a long-term, potentially reaching out of academia a little bit as well would be very exciting. What are Professor Haines' hobbies? Well, I walk everywhere. I'm one of those people who, when someone says, "Oh, is it walkable?" I say yes, and it's an hour, and everyone's upset afterwards. But I love walking. I also love cooking. I knit and reading. So lots of 17th century, 18th century hobbies here during COVID. But yeah, that's really what I enjoy. What are Professor Haines' research goals? So my long-lasting research goals are really to build models of detection and prediction for mold growth in homes and really have easy, sustainable, and cost-efficient ways to predict mold before it starts growing, as well as look at materials building materials that we could be using that are antimicrobial. And so that's kind of the hope for research in the future, to really get some of these more matching smart building technologies with indoor microbiome research and expanding that research. Was Professor Haines part of any clubs in grad school? So yes, I was the president of the Environmental Graduate Program Student Association at Ohio State, and so that was a really great experience, but I was also a member of the Council of Graduate Students during my graduate career. What is Professor Haines' favorite TV show? So I'm currently binging Lock and Key on Netflix, which has been great. It's kind of spooky, season 2, but I think my go-to TV show is New Girl, so Does Professor Haines have a mentor? So yes, I actually have 2 mentors, Marianne Hatzopoulou and then Shoshana Sachs, and they're both in the CivMin engineering department. What is most exciting to Professor Haines about moving to Canada? So can I say universal healthcare coming from the US? But actually it's just been all the amazing people and all the different things to do has been really exciting, and just living in a really large new city, coming from the Midwest, it's been just an incredible couple of months so far. What do sustainable buildings mean to Professor Haines? For me, sustainable buildings really mean buildings that are energy efficient but also account for human health and human occupancy. So I think buildings that are sustainable need to make sure that we're accounting for any harmful CO2 emissions that we're just emitting, and accounting for climate change, so buildings' impacts on climate change, so that they're sustainable in that aspect, but also sustainable in a way that we make sure that human health is not impacted negatively when we're accounting for those sustainable innovations. What advice would Professor Haines give to current engineering students? So in engineering, you can do so many different things, and you don't have to just do the typical engineering role right out of college. So I really think that when you're in your degree right now, look at all the different opportunities that you can take, internships, you can do like co-op opportunities or lab research work. I think there's so many different things you can do, and that can change over time, and that's okay. But I really believe in taking opportunities, taking chances, and you can do it, you can make it through. I know I struggled in my undergrad initially in engineering, but here we are now. So you can, once you get into those major courses as well, I think things really start to turn a corner, and if you can see yourself enjoying this work, it makes all the difference. Thanks so much for joining us. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or on my Twitter.